to today's vlog. I'm Georga-Kay. If you're new here, I am a PhD candidate at Brown University, and I film day in my life, week in my life content, just overall academic content. And this is gonna be a week in my life vlog. So it's actually Monday, March 31st, and I figure I will try to do a very detailed week in my life, full of lots of yapping, mundane, just going through a very average week as a PhD candidate, a history PhD candidate specifically. It's been a really busy time. Like, I feel like back to back I had a lot of stuff just come up for March, which usually happens. We had a visit day here at Brown for prospective students. I'm also working on the Southern Association for Women Historians conference, so I had lots of work to do for that. And just overall busy gal. And so this is just a typical week, and I wanted to sort of just like get into it. It's actually a little bit later in the day. It's around 1, so I'm starting the vlog later than I typically would, but I figure what better time? It's now or never, basically. For the past few days, it's been really nice. I went to the beach because it was spring break, hung out with some people from the cohort, some people from the history department, and that was super fun. And then I also went to go see Leslie Jones, who was performing here in Providence with my boyfriend, and that was also so funny, so hilarious. We went to go see her at the Vet, and they were having like a little roadie comedy festival. That I love comedy, so whenever there's like comedians in town, I always try to go. I've seen like Kevin Hart, and I hope to see a lot more people, and so that was really cool. So got up to lots of fun things during spring break, but I did stay here in Providence. I didn't travel. The plan for the rest of the day is that I have a working group later today. It's at 3:30, but before then I have to meet with my professor for prospectus. And prospectus is the main class I'm taking this semester because I'm done with like coursework and I'm just thinking about my dissertation. So just thinking about like the scope of my dissertation and the overall sort of feel and what I'm trying to do. And so I have a meeting for that, and then I'm done for the day. I really was gonna try to get some more work done, but I do think I'm just gonna wrap it up after that working group. And then tomorrow is gonna be a really intense work day because I'm teaching a summer course and I need to get a lot of stuff on paper for that, like in terms of like lectures and all of that. And then on top of teaching that summer course, I also had to wrap up grading for the midterms for my TA students. And so busy week, but it's gonna be a fun one, and I'm gonna take you guys along. With my professor for my prospectus class went well, and now I'm headed to the working group on race at the Center for Race and Ethnicity here at Brown. And I've been to this building before, but I can't remember where it is. I made it to campus. It is a gorgeous but very cold spring day. I'm about 20 minutes early, and I'm gonna set up for my TA class, and then I have a meeting immediately after. I am so hungry. I did not have breakfast this morning, which I never do in the mornings that I have class really early, just because I like to go home and make breakfast. But yeah, very starving. The bus comes in 6 minutes, so I'm walking to the bus. Gonna get home, take Carly on a walk, and then I have a ton of grading to do because my students had a midterm a few weeks ago, and we need to get the grades back by Monday. So today is gonna be a grading intensive day. So I got home a bit ago, but I took a little nap because I did not have a good night's sleep last night. I was super duper just anxious about a lot of things just happening in the world and feeling very unsettled. And so I had a not so great night of sleep, and I ended up having to get up at 5 to get ready for class. And so on the mornings where I get up early and stuff like that, it's always harder to kind of like push through the day. So Harley and I took a little nap together. It was very cute. Now I'm gonna take a little bit of a break from doing work, and I'm gonna clean the apartment. It's mostly clean, but there are like I need to do the dishes and make my bed and just get it nice and refreshed, especially since it doesn't feel like spring today, but it has been feeling more and more like spring. So I'm feeling more inclined to like actually like clean up and get everything nice, because I did a bit of cleaning and organizing over spring break, but I actually didn't do as much as I wanted to. So I'm gonna use the time to do that because I was just so busy. Also, yesterday I started working on my blog. Oh my God, guys, I will have to show you. I am working on a rebrand of my blog, and I'm going to be offering services, guys. That's crazy. It's something I've been thinking about for a long time, but I was wanting to find the line of like, what do I think would be helpful for people, but also just like making sure that all the things that I do remain accessible in some way. And so I'll probably talk about that a little bit later, about services and if you want to work with me and all of that good stuff. But yeah, I need to clean up first, and then I may go in my office and kind of talk you guys through what I'm doing for the blog. So I'm now at my desk. I'm essentially gonna start back into work. It is about 3 right now, and I'm gonna try to work for another hour or 2 before I call it quits for the day. But I was thinking about my prospectus, which is what I should be doing right now. I had a meeting for my prospectus on Monday, which I blogged, but I need to go through and do edits and send that to my advisor. Prospectus has been coming along really well. I feel like each week we have assignments where we kind of like do different parts of it. So like the methodology section, the chapter outlines, all of that. And I really do feel like it's been very, very helpful for me to clarify what exactly I'm gonna write this dissertation about. And I kind of hit like, kind of came up on like a aha moment, if you will, because I realized this whole time, if you don't know, I'm writing my dissertation on workers, particularly service workers at universities. And I think that's such an important topic, especially within the realm of higher education. There's been a lot that's been written about faculty members, about students, but less so about custodial and service staff. And so I knew that's what I wanted to do when I came into the PhD, but I really have been thinking about what the significance of this project is, especially since I want to talk about this particular period of like the early to mid 20th century. So kind of trace those along the line of, going up to the Civil Rights Movement and the implementation of like, Civil Rights Act and all of that. And I was like, okay, what am I trying to get here? I know that this period is interesting to think about service labor because we're kind of having a transition moment in terms of just general like political climate, but also the ways that people are thinking about labor. You have capitalism becoming more and more enshrined. And so I knew in my head, I was like, I know this is interesting. I know this is what I want to write about. And obviously Brown thought so too, because they admitted me. But I was struggling with the framing a little bit of like the significance of my dissertation initially when I started the prospectus phase. And now I'm like, guys, okay, I read this book, Care, the High Stage of Capitalism by Pramila Madison, and that has really helped me to frame my dissertation in terms of framing in terms of a different population sample. So thinking about the history of care work and thinking about university laborers and their role in this care economy, because a lot of these laborers are doing care work. They're taking care of people's, young adult children and essentially caring for them in a residential space for 4 years. And so how can we understand their lived experience and sort of like the overall broader stakes of care work, who cares for them, who doesn't get cared for, and how this care work actually feeds into a capitalist system to promote the well-being of others or the well-being of sort of like, marginalized workers. And so I am just so excited. I feel like it's finally like coming together in my brain. I love just sort of like getting to sit and think about this, and I'm so excited to get into the research phase. It's only a few weeks left in the semester, so I'm like craving like, okay, we're gonna be getting back into the archives, getting back into the swing of like actually like gathering information. And I'll definitely try to vlog as much as I can about like archival process, and I'll continue to vlog my entire PhD process, so I will share more about the dissertation and as it's fleshing out. And yeah. But now I'm gonna call it like quits on that for today, because I honestly like to get as much distance as I can when I'm revising stuff like this, because it helps when I don't sit and think about it all the time, because then I can come back with like a fresh perspective. So now I'm doing some fun work and I'm working on my blog. So back to what I was saying earlier, I really wanted to relaunch my blog. Well, not relaunch it because my blog has always been up. If you're not familiar, my entire sort of social media presence started with a blog because I just grew up in like a very bloggy era, and I admired bloggers so much, and I knew that I wanted to blog my own journey. And so I started when I was 18, and then just kind of like branched out into YouTube and TikTok and all these things. But blogging is where like my essential like identity is in terms. And so for the past, I would say 2 years, I haven't really done anything on my blog. I think the last time I uploaded was probably like 2-3 years ago, up until most recently, because I was just getting acclimated to the PhD process. I was also getting into short form content. And so there wasn't just a lot of capacity for the blog because I really like this hobby of mine. I only have like a few hours, if that, each week to dedicate to it. And it's on my own time. So oftentimes, sometimes it does get like, it falls to the wayside. But now that I'm kind of getting some of my time back, I have been getting back into it. And so I uploaded a new blog post about like negotiating your PhD package. And I have a ton of drafted blog posts that I need to go back to because I had them drafted before and I just never got a chance to like review them. And so there's a lot coming in terms of like grad admissions, content, overall, like my thoughts on the academy at this moment. Because that's something I wanted to do as well, because I haven't really been treating my blog like a diary. I've been treating it more like a how-to guide type thing for students, which makes sense because I very much love teaching and I like sharing knowledge. But there's a lot happening, and so I feel like I want to share more about like my thought process as a current PhD student in this moment. I really like the way that it's coming together. I was a little bit nervous because I haven't had the best luck of like designing my blog and having it come out the way that I wanted to. I have this problem of like, I have this idealized version in my mind of like these beautiful professional sites, and then I do it and it does not look anything like that. So this time, and you guys can let me know, I'll link it in the description box, but let me know. I designed it and I do feel like it looks like it's professionally done, and it's looking a lot more like what I want it to look like. So hopefully by the time that this video is out, like all the copy is done, because the framing and how I want it to like flow is there, but I do need to like add the copy of like, okay, like what am I talking about, all of those things. And then one section that's not going to be done probably when the video goes up is that I'm working on a PhD Notion dashboard, and that will be for sale. And so it's something that I've been working on for a long time. So I have my own like Notion templates that I use. I've just been creating over like the past few years. I have an entire video on like free Notion templates as well, so I'll always have those available. But obviously as a PhD student, I've noticed like things that I would like in a template, and I've been adding those to my own. And so I'm like, okay, well, this would actually be really cool to share it with people. And so I have like all my templates that are free, but I want to create one that's like more of an everything I would want and something that I would use for you guys. And so yeah, and then the last thing on sort of like the blog and my sort of like content creator behind the scenes thing is we have the Notion template coming. We'll let you know whenever that is. I'll definitely talk about it whenever it's out. But I also wanted to open up my office hours so that people can book with me, because I've gotten this so much. You can imagine for the past 3 years that I've been making PhD content, messages from people being like, can I meet with you? And I have been often able to meet with people, like especially prospective graduate students. So I always want to be intentional about my time. And so I sort of like have been thinking about how I want to go about like creating some of the structure in my sort of like content creator life, and then between graduate school and all of that. And my kind of like thought process is that I will always have free information on my blog, on my YouTube, very detailed about just general advice about things that I've learned as a PhD student, things that I've learned to help you get into grad school, and then resources for anyone who's just interested in those things, because I do feel like a lot of that information is gatekept, and I do not think it should be gatekept, because ultimately that makes academia less diverse and it makes it less accessible. So I want to make sure that I keep doing that. But when it comes to my time, I've been really getting into like productivity, and I really actually do like talking to people and helping people. And so I wanted that to be sort of like the next step if you've exhausted all of my free resources. So if you've already like watched the videos, if you've already, you know, read through the blog, you have the download, but you really just want to like book with me and like invest in that, then I wanted to offer that to people, so that, you know, if you have like a specific question, something that you want to work with a little bit more long term, then that will be an option. And so I will be opening up bookings on my website. A little transparency moment. I just got to my office to start working and I'm definitely still in my pajama bottoms. Now that I'm looking at them, they don't look quite as bad, but I just have to get ready to feel ready to sit in my office and grade all day. Otherwise, I'm gonna feel gross. I'm gonna feel like I haven't really started my day yet. So we're starting the day from the top up, and pajama bottoms, that's nobody's business. So I'm not gonna lie, I am kind of procrastinating on grading right now. It is one of the hardest things that I always do this, but I have a few more days to grade and I don't know why I always procrastinate. But I always get it done on time though, but I always kind of take my time. But right now, since I also have prospectus coming up and I have to write something for that on Sunday and it's currently Thursday, I'm like, well, I can start thinking about prospectus. That's like a productive form of procrastination. And so I'm looking up Pramila Madison's work on the care economy, since that's how I kind of want to think about my project. So I'm doing more research into just like the care economy. I did read about the care economy in my labor history field, but a lot of it was more so framed in terms of like reproductive labor, and it was very sort of like specific to a history of like, you know, women's work and reproduction. And I feel like care economy fits a little bit better, and so I'm sort of just going back to the works that kind of talk about care work and the care economy. So that will help me to write my chapter outlines, which is what I have due on Sunday. I met with my professor to kind of talk through my ideas for the chapter outlines, and I'm really struggling about whether I want to do a chronological versus thematic approach. I'm really leaning into the idea of the thematic approach, but at the same time, I feel like the story could work chronologically. So we'll see. The prospectus is just ideas. It's not that important. And so I'm just gonna test it out to see what I like. But yeah, I'm gonna get that done and we'll see if I return to finish grading today. You can hear sirens in the background, but yeah, try to see if I can finish that. And then, because I do have a hard stop at like 4 because my boyfriend's gonna come and we're gonna go to the gym. So I wanna make sure that I'm all done with work by